Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to do a carnival game kind of thing. When I was playing Bioshock games and I saw that there was a part in the beginning where you play like carnival games. And there's one that I really like, the one that's like a shooting gallery, like targets come across, everything like that. And you shoot them, you get points, everything like that. And I'm going to try to recreate that. I already filmed this, but my recording that I originally didn't make it to Twitch, which made me mad. So I'm doing like a local recording and then I'm just going to upload that to YouTube just to make it easier because I'm kind of frustrated at this point because it was stupid. So before we even get started, I showed this in the last recording, but since it got deleted, you didn't see it. I got this thing from Epic for like a Merry Christmas, like season's greetings thing, and it's signed by there it is, Tim Sweeney. I got this because one of my projects that I'm working on is using Unreal Engine 4, and its beta version. I can't really show anything about it. I can say I use it, but I can't say anything much about it. But it's pretty cool, and definitely appreciate the card and the image and stuff like that. But now that we got that over with, let's go ahead and start making this here. So what we're going to do, the first thing is there's a lot of setup for this actual Kismet sequence and setup and mock-up of a carnival game. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go under View and Properties for World Properties. And then what we're going to do under World Info, we're going to check No Default Inventory for Player, which means when we start at the beginning, we're not going to get any weapons or anything like that. It's just going to be bare. And the reason why we do that is just because when we start the game, we want to give the player a gun and then take it away after that point. And then from there, what we're going to do under default game type, let's just change that to UT game, and also for the play manager, the PIE, change that to UT game. So let's go ahead and play just to make sure that's working. There we go. We don't have any weapons or anything like that, but we're able to jump, move, everything like that, which is cool. So the next thing we're going to do, we're actually going to make the carnival booth, I guess you'd say. So let's just use a bunch of the placeholder assets just to get started. There we go. Let's just see if that's a good height. A little higher couldn't kill us. Okay. Then we're going to just duplicate. Let me just make this like an even number just so it snaps better. So this part's going to be tedious a little bit. I'm just going to be building our carnival booth. Make some walls. Copy and duplicate them. And then let's make a space about 128 in between. And then do it again. Put them close together. 128 in between. And then from there, just duplicate these walls. Players aren't going to see that, so we can just let it slide. Just create these side walls just for when the actual targets appear. Give this a ceiling. Perfect. And let's just drag that out. Awesome. Close enough. Then let's just have it cover. Let's do the back wall. Let's just do that. Okay. we go. We have the back wall. And then let's just, whoops. Let's just select our roof. And let's just cover these parts. Awesome. And let's put a light in here. Just have some sort of lighting going on inside. Hit F4, get into its properties. Let's just change this to, like, I don't know. Blue's gonna be fine. Nothing too big. 5. Make it decently colored. So next we're going to do is create the railings where the targets would be swinging from, everything like that. So we just got to create a really thin looking bar. Just do that. And then we're going to do one for the back. Just lift the one in the back a little bit in the air. And then last thing here, create some targets. So let's go ahead and just make a square target. Perfect. What I'm going to do, I did make 3 materials in the material editor. Let me show you here. It's just simple colored materials, blue, and this is what they look like. Just blue, diffuse, specular, and then that's it. So we got blue, green, and red. So I'm going to put the red on this one, just for now. And also I'm going to go to right-click, convert this to a mover. And with movers, we've got to change its collision type. Just do block all. Let's also change its physics. Actually, it's already 2 interpolating, so that's good. So what we're going to do next with this one here is we're going to create a blocking, not a blocking volume, but wait, let's see where that went. Nope. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our builder brush, and we're going to make a dynamic trigger volume that will be attached to this and everything like that. I'll go over that in more detail in a bit. But for right now, what we need to have is this set up. We're just going to try to fit this shape as best as we can. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. But let's try to get it as close as we can. Okay. Get the shape close. Perfect. Go to volumes, and then this has to be dynamic. So let's do dynamic trigger volume, and there we go. Okay, so I'm going to select these two and just move them over here, just so it's not in the player's view. I'm also just going to select the dynamic trigger volume, go to physics, set that to interpolating, and then we're also going to go to its collision, because right now by default it's touch all but weapons. We want it to recognize weapons as well, so we're going to just switch that over to touch all. So I'm going to duplicate these, send this one over here, and I'm going to duplicate it again up here. Let me just make sure it fits the railing. Cool. So duplicate that, and then we're going to duplicate it again. Just so we have a pair of 2 that happen here. And with these pair of 2s, I'm going to change their color. This one I'm going to change to blue, and then this one I'm going to change to green. Just dragging my materials off from the other screen to create them there. So now we have the trigger volume set up, and we have our target set up. So the next thing we gotta do is we gotta set an initial, just a trigger volume that isn't dynamic, just a trigger volume that we're gonna just recognize for the player. Once he enters this volume and then presses E, the game's gonna start. That's basically what this volume's gonna do for us here. So let me just go back to the default 256 by 256 by 256, build your brush size, pull it out front. Okay, lower my snaps. There we go. Try this out. And then just drag this in just slightly. So there's our volume. So let's go to volumes here and do just trigger volume. So then we have our trigger volume here. And then the last thing we need to do is let's go into our content browser. Under the actor classes, just type in note. And this is what we want. A note's going to be used just as a position for when we press E and want to play the game and everything like that. What it's going to do is it's going to teleport us to this exact spot. So we want to center it as best as we can. So even if you like stand over here and then press E to play, you'll be teleported and you're going to face forward. That's basically what I want to have it set up. So that's everything for the scene here. So I'm just going to quickly build lighting. While I'm building lighting, I just want to just say thank you guys so much for the support. You guys have been subscribing, you've been commenting, you've been sharing the videos, which I definitely appreciate. So I hope you guys keep doing it. I hope this video does help. Once we get into the Kismet scripting section, we're going to do a lot of different things. Some new stuff with the modified properties node. We're going to do some cool stuff. So I hope you learn a lot. But if you have any questions or anything, always comment below. If you have any ideas for new tutorials that you want me to cover, please also comment as well. And also share, keep subscribing, keep liking my videos. Definitely appreciate it. So let's see where we are on this light build. Alright, we're at 96. It's going to finish in just a second. And we're almost there. My computer's just like, I also recorded me playing Half-Life 2, but my computer basically froze when I tried exiting out of it when I was done, and the recording didn't even go through. So, a lot of problems today. But hopefully, we'll move past it. So there's our Carnival game. We got everything going. We got everything ready. Alright, cool. So now it's time to get into the good stuff. So let's open up Kismet. Let's maximize the window here. So the first thing, like always, is we're going to just set up our variables. So let's do a new variable, bool. This variable is going to tell us if we're in that main trigger volume that we want to have the player in before he even plays the game. So let's just name this player in volume. Set it already automatically to false. And what I want to do here is just create a new named variable just so we have it ready. So it's going to be bool player in volume. I'm just going to do this for all our variables as we're creating them, just so we don't have to worry about making them in the future. So the next one we're going to do an object variable just to represent our player. So let's just uncheck that to all players, just make it player 0, and then let's just name it player. Copy and paste that named variable, set it to object, and name it player. Next one we're going to do two vectors. One to represent our position, and then the other one to represent our rotation. So let's go down to vector. The first one's going to just be player location. We're going to leave all the default values here. And let's copy and paste that and do player rotation. And then let's copy and paste this and get those named variables ready. Perfect. So the next four are going to be our integer variables here. They're going to represent our player score, and then the individual values that each colored target is going to have. So the red one's going to be a value of 1, the green target's going to have a value of 5, and the blue target's going to have the value of 10. And we're just going to add them as you hit them, and that's how it's going to function. So let's go to a new variable, int, and just name this one player score. We're going to leave that at 0 because the player's got to have 0 at the beginning. Next one is going to be, we're going to name this red target value. And then put a 1 in for its value. Copy and paste that. Okay, change this value to 5. Get rename it to green target value. And then we're going to copy and paste one last time. Change this value to 10. And then we're going to rename this blue target value. So that's all the variables we need. So let's just create the named variables for this real quick. Okay. Oops. Last one here. Oops, wrong order. And there we go. So here's our named variables. So let's just put these to the side when we need them. And let's just organize this just a tad better. Oops. So we have a total of 8 variables here. So let's just organize this as best as we can. And then let's just comment these saved variables. So we got that going. And we're just going to throw these on the side and just take them when we need them. So now we have all our variables set up. So we're going to start doing this Kismet sequence. And the first thing we're going to do is the main trigger event for when we actually touch the volume at the very beginning. It's going to tell us to press E to play. And then we're going to do a couple checks and everything like that. So let's get started. So let's just make sure our volume is selected in the editor. And then let's right-click, new event using trigger volume 0, and let's do touch. And this is going to be max trigger count of 0, meaning infinite. And then from here, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to do a play announcement. So let's do new action, voice play announcement. And then let's do, this is where we're going to press E to play. And we're going to plug that into touched. Then we're also going to create some remote events. So it's going to new action, event, activate remote event. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to name this one Boolean change. And we're also going to create a second one that's called Boolean change 2. And this is going to control the one bool we have as a variable. It's going to control the player and the volume. So when we touch the volume, it's going to make it true. When we untouch it, it's going to make it false. So that's what those do. So let's hook those up appropriately. And then untouched Boolean change 2. So let's go ahead and make these actual events. So let's do new event and then remote event. Let's just copy and paste the Boolean change name just so we get it right. And then you'll see it update, but in order for it to update here, I just delete and undelete, and then we get the check mark. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do set variable, so new action, set variable, and bool. So let's grab our bool. And then our value is going to be true, because this is when it gets touched. And then let's hook that up. Then we're going to do the same thing here, except when we do a false. So let's rename this Boolean change 2. Still got the check mark, update it. Now we're just going to change this value to 0, make it back to false. So let's go ahead and just double check to see if that's working. And we're going to do that by logging the value of that Boolean variable. So let's do level loaded. And holding down the L key and left clicking brings us our log. So let's grab our player variable. He's going to be our target. Right click, expose variable, and then bool. Now let's just grab our player and volume bool. Plug them in. And then we're going to create just a loop just so it updates every 1 second. Hold on. Excuse me. Now we have it looping, so every 1 second it's going to log the value of that bool. So let's go ahead and play. So right now it's false, but let's do show volumes. As soon as we enter, it should go true. Now it's true, and it's telling us to proceed to play the game. We back out, it goes back to false. We go back in, tells us to play the game, it goes to true, and then back and forth. So we know that's working, so that's very good. So let's go ahead and move these off to the side here. Because the next thing we need to do, let me actually move this up here. This is going to be our debug section. The next thing we're going to do is our key press event. So let's do a new event. Let's go to input and then key button pressed. So what we're going to do, input name down here, just do a capital E. That'll represent our E button here. And it's already by default set to 0 for max trigger count, so we can hit that as many times as we want. So basically what we want to do here is when the player presses the E key, we want to check if he's in the volume. And in order to do that, you've got to do a condition in comparison of that bool. So basically, let's just move over just so we don't run into the other sequences here. So basically what we need to do is compare that bool. So let's grab a copy of that. Now if it's true, what we want to do is want to do 2 new events here. So new action event, activate remote event. So if it's true, we've got to call these guys. And this first one is going to be called give player game gun. Now we're going to copy and paste this, create another one, plug it up, and we're going to name this. One here disable movement. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. So what we need to do now that we're doing that, we actually have to call these events. We have to actually make them. So let's do new event, remote event. So this one's going to be the give player game gun. So copy and paste that one in. It'll update, but we just got to delete this and put it back in to update on that end here. Now we're going to go to right click, new action. I believe it's under pawn, give inventory. So let's go into that. Now obviously our target is going to be our player. So let's go ahead, grab that name variable. And for the inventory, what we're going to give them, just based on testing and everything like that when I was working on this on my own, the only one that really worked was the shock ball from the shock rifle. So what we're going to do, we're going to clear existing and force replace with whatever we want in the inventory list here. So let's add an element, and let's just do UT-WEP shock rifle, and then we'll add our gun. And just for the sake of purpose, like if we, for some reason, the player shoots too much, runs out of ammo, obviously that's going to be an issue. He's not going to be able to play the game right. So just as a backup, what we're going to do is give him infinite ammo. So let's go to new action, pawn, infinite ammo. And then target is going to be our player. So let's see if that gets caught. Let's see if that works so far. So we're going to walk in and press E to shoot a gun. And we do. Perfect. And we got the error there just because this thing isn't doing anything. So the next thing we're going to do is actually create that event as well. This is where going to be a lot of cool stuff's going to come into play. So let's copy and paste this remote event. Rename it to match the disable movement. We got a check mark, so we just got to update that. So the first thing we're going to do, I want to disable the movement because you don't want the player running around while the game's playing. You might ignore it, everything like that. And there is a way to disable movement using the toggle cinematic mode, but when I do that, it prevents me from shooting, and obviously that's the point of the game. So I found a workaround. Thanks to the help with that for Esteban Lopez, one of my roommates here. He does a lot of cool stuff in Unreal Script and things like that. So he pointed me to the modify property node where you can actually call and modify certain variables in the pawn class. And that's what we're going to do to disable all the kinds of movements here. So there's going to be a total of 7 different properties we're going to modify. So let's go ahead and do that here. So let's go under new action, object property, modify property. Link that up, put the player as the target. And then the first property we're going to mess with is the ground speed property. So let's just type in ground speed. And this represents how fast you can walk. So obviously you want to check that, and we're going to make it 0 just so you can't walk at all. So let's just see if that's working so far. As soon as I press E, I get my gun. I shouldn't be able to move. When it's true, I can double jump and stuff like that. I can actually jump. I physically can't move forward or backwards. So that's good, but honestly we're going to add more elements to really kind of restrict as much movement as we can, just so the player stays within the game area. So that stops us from walking here. So the next one we're going to mess with is the dodge speed. And that dodge speed is going to be that strafing jump. That the dodge speed represents that as well as the dodge speed Z variable, which we'll mess with next. That's going to be, the physical like jumping height. So we're just going to make that 0. So let's add another element. We're going to do that dodge speed Z. We're going to check and then press 0. Let's see if the double jump has been affected. Not the double jump, but the strafing, like the double sidestep. And now this is the restricted version. I can't get it to fully stop, but this is good enough for our purposes. But as we can see, we're still jumping. So what we need to do next is disable that. So let's add a new property. Go down and let's name this jump Z. Put that at 0. So that's going to stop us from jumping. But I also want to put in a check. This one's actually a Boolean variable. It's B can double jump. Set that there. And by default, it's at 0, meaning true. So we're going to hit 1 to make it false. So let's just see if we can double jump anymore. Because there's 2 more variables we have to mess with. I just want to see if we got what we need so far. Yeah, so that's us jumping. So it's very restrictive, which is definitely a good thing. So the last 2 properties we're going to do, I'll just add them at the same time here. Number 5 is going to be the max multi-jump variable. We're going to make that 0. And then the last one is also a multi-jump remaining variable. So this is all checks for the multiple jumps, so we just want to make sure we don't have anything like that. So we got all our variables modified. And then when we actually finish the game, we want to modify everything back to their default. Some of them I do know the default for. The others I don't, but that's okay. We'll figure that out as we go along. So the next thing we're going to do, now that we have all the properties modified, what we're going to do is we're going to teleport the player to the node, just so that no matter where they are, when they press E in that volume, they're going to go right dead center. So let's do new action. I believe it's under actor and teleport. So let's grab, let's bring that to target, and then the destination, let's just select our node, right click, new object var for that. So let's see if that works so far. Let's see if we get teleported. Boom. And no matter where we rotate as well, it should face us forward. There we go. And we got limited movement, can't really do much. So that's all really good. So the next thing we're going to do, now that I think about it, we don't really need the player rotation and player location variables actually, since basically where this is rotated is where you're going to be facing. So say I turn it about 180 degrees. I'm going to be starting facing backwards. So let's just make this as perfectly forward as we can. That should do it. So now that we have that all set up, what we need to do is one last thing. Let's do new action. Let's go under event, activate remote event, plug that right in. And what we're going to do, once we get to this point, we don't want the player to be able to keep spamming the E key or anything like that. So actually, I'll show you what I'm talking about. See how I'm just doing that whenever I want. We want to disable that, and that's what we're going to do here. So let's go back up to our key pressed event. So let me move these guys down. So we're going to name this event disable input for game. So let's copy and paste our remote event. Copy and paste the name just so we get it right. and just update it. Now we're going to do new action, toggle, and then a normal toggle. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn off the event. And the reason why I put it so close is just so we can do this. So basically we're telling it to toggle that event and turn it off for the moment. So let's see if that's working. Because if it is, then we should be good to go and start actually playing our game. And there we go. Pressing E a bunch of times, nothing's happening. So that's very good. So now what we need to do is, we gotta do the start game event. So let's copy and paste this. Name this start game. Whoops. So now we're ready to actually start animating our targets, everything like that. So this was all just set up, getting the player ready to actually play our Carnival game. Since that's the case, I'm just going to quickly create the event for the start game, just so we have it ready to go. Just toss this on the side, but first what we're going to do is we're going to organize everything here. So let me just make this. Let me comment it. That's going to be our debug log. Okay. We're actually going to add something to our debug log here. It's going to be our player score. So let's just grab that variable here real quick. Just so we keep an eye on and track it. So there's our debug log. Here's our variables. I like to keep these guys nice and close. Next we're going to do, this one's our, let's just name this, because everything stems from here, so I'm just going to call this, actually I'll just call this, do Boolean check. So let's drag this up to about here. This one's actually going to be the change variables, so Boolean change. Let me put that into place in a second here. Let me move these guys down just to give you some room. Alrighty. Now what we're going to do, these guys are going to be paired together, so this will be our input events. Just because we press E at this point. Okay. And then we have these guys here. And let's call this get player ready. We have all those guys set up. So now we're at the point where we're ready to start animating and everything like that. So let's go ahead, and here's our start event where our animations will stem from. So the first thing we're going to do is right click and do a new matinee. Actually, before we even do that, what we need to do, we've got to attach all our targets to our dynamic trigger volumes and everything like that. So let's do that real quick. So when the level's loaded, it's a new event, level loaded. What we're going to do, new action, actor, attach to actor. So what we're going to do is, basically one of the headaches I ran into when I was first developing this, for getting it ready for this tutorial, what I had originally was we attached the volume to the interactor and then animated the interactor, and that worked fine. But when we wanted to do the additional interactor animation where we hit it with our gunfire, what I want to have it do is just sling back to let you know it hit it. But when we tried to do that, there was definitely some hiccups. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to attach the interactor to the volume, and then in matinee animate the volume, and we'll see it go along with it. I'll show you in just a moment here. So our target. So basically we want to attach the dynamic trigger volume. We're going to have that as the target, and the attachment is going to be the interactor. And we're going to do that a total of 4 times for each one that exists. Oops. Make sure I grab the right ones. Oh my goodness. Just get this reorganized. Just dragging the wrong ones. And then from here, what we're going to do is go over here. And then just right click and replace them. Perfect. So we just got to do that 2 more times. So let's select our intervector, our volume, and then our intervector. Do that one last time. And there we go. So I have everything together. So let me go ahead and comment that. Attach targets to volumes. Awesome. So now what we need to do is do our first animation. So here it is. We're going to select our trigger volume, and the reason why we made the physics isn't interpolating is because we're going to animate it. So let's double click our matinee. Let's drag our timeline just so the animation itself is about 1 second. Let's right click, add new empty group. Let's do red target _1 _ animation. Oops. And right click on that, add new movement track. Let's go ahead, add 1 second, make our second keyframe, and let's just drag this across. Just so it kind of just shoots across. And that's pretty fast, which is fine. We can add, what I'm going to do is just change this from 1.0 for player to 0.1, just so it slows down. And then we're going to just play it and see if it works. So let's go ahead and hit save, and now let's go ahead and play this real quick. And there it is. And let me show you exactly what's happening here. So I'm going to go tab, show volumes. And we're going to see our volume go across as well. Fire, nothing happens because we haven't set up the logic for that yet. But we know for a fact that that's working, which is definitely really good. What I want to do here, just to set up a quick delay, let's do new action, voice announcements, play announcement. In the announcement, we're going to just say, shoot as many targets as possible for high score. Let's go ahead, just set that up. We're just going to give this a 1 second delay. And then we're going to put that into play. And then that's going to have us delay it. So we know that's going to be working fine. So the next piece of logic we're going to do is we're going to select our volume here, right click, do new event, using dynamic trigger, and let's do touch. And this touch event is going to automatically have just one set up, so let's just do 0. And then from there, we're going to take off the pawn as our class here, and also uncheck player only. We're going to add back a class proximity type, excuse me. We're going to go down to UT weapon or UT projectile shock ball. So basically, we're saying, hey, if this trigger volume gets touched by that shock ball, do something, basically. And what we're going to do is we're going to play the secondary animation. So let's select the actual intervector, do a new matinee, double click on that. So right click, do an empty group, target hit. Right click on that, add movement, drag that to 1 second, make a second keyframe, fold it in half like that, and there we go. So it's like, bloop, you got hit. And we're going to speed this up by making the play rate 10. And then we're good. So let's go ahead and do touched. And that's going to play. So let's let's just see if that works so far. So let's see. Boom. And we can see our score's not updating. Honestly, that's for a reason. So what we're going to do is a couple of things. Do new action, new action event to activate remote event. And let's name this red target hit. Whoops. Put that into place. And what we're going to do now, let's kind of move over just so we don't run into anything, is a new event, and that's remote event. Copy this name, just so we get it right. Update that properly, and now we're just going to do a little bit of math. So let's do new action, math, add int, connect those together. So letter A is going to be the player score variable, and then B is going to be our red target value. So let's just shoot back over with these two guys. So let's hook this up. Player A, I mean not player A. A is player score, B is the red target value, and then int results could be player score again, just so we add it. So we're basically saying player score plus red target value is going to equal the new player score. So that's what that's going to be doing. So let's see if that updates properly. So we're looking at the number 0. Let's get that target, and now we have 1 point, because that's how much value we put to it. So that's awesome, that's working. So let's just move the math logic over to the side. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to copy and paste this. Actually, we're only going to copy and paste the first 2 sections. We're not going to copy and paste the matinee because those are going to be different. But let's move this over. And then with the trigger volume, we're going to update to this guy because this is going to be the second round. Actually, we can copy and paste this as well. Excuse me, I was looking at the wrong animation. But then we're just going to update the target to the new one. But for this one up here, we're going to create a brand new matinee. So new matinee. So once this is completed, we're going to play the next one. Now we're going to select our dynamic trigger volume. Double click on the matinee. Right click. Let's do second underscore red target animation. Right click on that, add new movement track, move this over to 1 second. Let's go ahead and create a second keyframe and just drag this across. There we go. Now we're just going to make this one slightly faster. So instead of it being 0.1, we'll do 0.2 as this play rate. And then we have the checks there. Since we had the red target hit, it's also a red target. So let's see if that works. Let me just straighten this out. So let's see if we get both of those to come out and make sure they both respond to our shots fired. Boom. Let's see if the second one comes out. There's the second one. Hit that, and it also responded. Perfect. So let's do the last 2 up here. They're going to require special treatment. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to handle the hit logic and everything like that. Alrighty, so this is for the green target here. So let's just update the volume. And let's also update the target itself. But we're also going to rename this to green target hit. Right now it's going to be red because we actually don't have that, but we're going to copy and paste this. Rename this to green target hit, and then just delete, add it back just so it updates, and then we're going to add a similar mathematical functionality here, or logic. And all we're going to do is just change red target value to green target value, and it'll update. So we're also going to do that one last time here, but for the blue target. So we're going to name this blue target hit. Update this with the proper volumes, and then update this with the proper mesh. Now that we have that set up, let's just go ahead, copy and paste this. Rename this blue target hit. Update it here. There we go. And last thing, blue target hit. Oops. Now we want to do blue target value. Excuse me. There we go. So now I have all that functionality there. So all we need to do is just animate these guys. And we're just going to animate the basically animate just the trigger volumes. Luckily these guys are attached, so they're going to go along for the ride. So what I'm going to do, just for challenge sake, is I'm going to make those two fire at the same time. So let's just do a new matinee. Have the first one selected here. Let's do add empty group. Let's do green target, or back row targets. Animation. If I click on that, add new movement track. Gonna do just a second. And then we're just gonna glide these guys across. Like that. We're watching him playing, we're seeing that's working. So all we have to do here, since we have the animation going with one, since they're all going to be going together, we could just select the second one and just add it as in there as well. So we'll animate the same exact way. So if we watch, there you go. So let's go ahead and do that. And I know for a fact we're going to need a reset game after this row, because this is going to be the last target thing before the game technically ends. So let's do new action, event, attached to remote event, and then reset game. That's what we're going to call that. And then let's just create a quick new event for it. New event, a remote event. Just copy the name. Just delete it, update it. So now, let's see if this all works. Okay, moment of truth. Cool, so that updated. Alright, we saw those go by. Honestly, those were really fast. Change that to 0.1 in the animation. So try that again. Got that one. Let's see if I can get all of them. And they updated properly as well. So they're all working. Awesome. So let's go ahead and let's reorganize this here. Scoring math. So let's go ahead, put that away. And these guys are going to be, whoops. These are the hit logic stuff. So target, hit, logic. So let's go ahead and move these guys. Okay. Alright, so they're all in place. And then the last thing here, this is, I'll just name this Carnival game animations. So we got that there. So let's go ahead and just place it in this nook. So now all that's left to really do is to reset everything. So what we need to do is once that's done, we're gonna have to reset everything. We have to do the modify property again, and we gotta set all those values back to their defaults. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go and modify property. We'll do each one at a time. So ground speed, I know for a fact is 600. Dodge speed, not too sure, so we'll just make that 200. Dodge speed Z is 420. The normal jump C is also 420. This one's true. This is set to 1. And this is set to 1. So let's see if we get everything back once we finish the game. So let's just play this. Alright, awesome. So let's see. Do we have movement back? We have movement back. So now all we have to do now is just reset all the targets just so they can reset and be played again. So because see right now, if I press E, nothing's going to happen. And that's because the event is still toggled off. So what we'll need to do is get the toggle back and just turn it on. And then we'll be able to play again. But I want to make sure here that all the targets go back to their original position here. So I'm just going to click on force start position on all these. So that'll cause the targets to start over again. But one thing we got to make sure of is that these animations play right, because these will not play right even if we force start position, but we'll check. So let's do force start position on all these guys. Okay, so they're all set. So let's see where we are at this point. Okay. So we're able to move, double jump, anything like that. Let's see if we can play again. And we're brought back. And let's just see how they look. Yeah, see they're... Yeah, that's broken. So first thing first is after we turn the event back on, what we're also going to do is new action. I believe it's going to be under pawn, and then we're going to do give inventory. Or just do clear existing. And the target's going to be the player. And then what we're also going to do is new action set variable int and we're just going to set the player score back to 0. So create a new int variable and let's just get the player score from the math section. Bring this back up. There we go. And then just to prevent the boards messing up and everything like that, what we're going to do is when it's completed, we're going to just set activate delays of about 4 seconds. into the reverse. So they'll reverse themselves, so they'll be ready to play again. And then we should be good to go. So let's see how this works. Boom, I'm awesome. Let's see if I can get all of them. That was awful. Okay, now we're back to nothing. Alright, let's see if we can play again. Boom. And we're in business. So let me just see if I can. So basically at this point, now that we can play the game over and over again, this is where I'm going to end it. This is kind of like the building foundation of the Carnival game. Everything's in place. So at this point, you can add more targets, make them more challenging, have prizes involved depending on your score. So if you get like 6 points, you'll get a certain amount of money, or any other kind of prizes if you want to reward them with a new weapon, things like that. So I hope you guys learned a lot. I'm just going to clean up everything one last time here. This name is Reset Game. And there we have it. It's quite a lot, but I hope it was all worth it. I hope you guys learned a lot. So thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely appreciate it. So I hope you guys subscribe, like the video, comment with more suggestions, or if you have any questions. And I'll probably do another one of these videos tomorrow with a more simple Kismet thing. I'll just make like an elevator because one of my buddies needed help with that. So I'll probably just show you a very simplistic elevator with 3 floors, and I'll show you how that kind of works. So tune in for that, and I'm also going to do streaming of games and everything like that as well. So I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.